and he will probably introduce members of his delegation when he mounts the podium. He's here to please keep the door closed, and the corridor is too noisy from there. Please close the door. Give you all the time to set up for the press briefing. We're in here with guests, people passing in, open the corridor, and it's so noisy. There has to be some order. So, one of the sectors that has gone through transformation over time is the Liberia Land Authority. From the Liberia Land Commission, it became an authority, and the goal is to address some of the issues, the problems that we face as a country in terms of the acquisition of land, how to acquire land, how to manage it, how you can ensure that people do not delve into double dealings in terms of land sale, and how the whole sector can be regulated. So he just took over the entity. His being here today is to lay out his vision, how he intends to lead the Liberia Land Authority moving forward. You will hear from him, and after his presentation, we'll always provide the press with the opportunity to ask your questions. So we also have a person who needs no introduction to this hall, Queen Ambassador Judy Endee. She is the Executive Director for the Crusaders for Peace. Of course, she is the immediate past cultural ambassador for the country. Queen Judy will speak on the upcoming Expo that is due to take place in Japan. She will also speak on Liberia's preparedness as far as our participation in that event is concerned. So those are our two distinguished guests for today's press briefing. But as usual, we are required to make some remarks and comments on issues that are unfolding in the country, about the government, and how we are going about it as a country. So let me first of all start by informing you that former Liberian leader, President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, is leading a high-level delegation to Namibia, where she will not only represent President Joseph Boakai and the country's inauguration for the president-elect, but she will also lead the campaign for Liberia's bid for the non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. President Sirleaf, as President Boakai's special envoy, is a strategic move to strengthen Liberia's international standing ahead of the UN vote in June, while attending the swearing-in of Namibia's first elected female president on March 21st. Former President Sirleaf is expected to engage the regional and global leaders to rally support for Liberia's candidacy. Accompanying the former president on the trip are Liberia's ambassador at large, Ambassador Charles Senator, George Mesco, and other officials. The visit also marks an important moment in African politics as Endee Nitwa 72 prepares to become Namibia's first elected female president and second woman to lead an African nation. The other day, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs invited former leaders to do 1-minute video voicing out their support for Liberia's bid for this non-permanent seats. Of course, we have reiterated the importance and the vibrancy that this election will bring to Liberia. And so President Salif is a patriotic citizen, a former leader of our country. She accepted our call, and she's acting in the direction of the government to ensure that we can get this seat. For those who thought to politicize it, they've done nothing in that regard. We wish them well. But for us, this is not about the Boagas administration. If Liberia succeed in getting elected to the Security Council of the United Nations, the relevance, the diplomatic returns, the international recognition that it brings to Liberia, we have very great effect on the overall progress of our country. It has to do nothing about who is in charge of the country or not. So she's been selfless in rallying support for Liberia's bid, and we wish President Salif well. We believe that this is how former leaders of the country should continue to contribute in making the country to be a better place. By that, we can prepare the country for future generations, thereby avoiding them to encounter some of the horrors that we are currently going through. If Liberia wins the seat on the Security Council, it will increase our international standing over politics. It will also help us to be positioned on the global stage in terms of international decision making. So we have to support it. President Waka, in an effort to address critical challenges in the water and sanitation sector, has issued Executive Order 146 offering custom duties exemption to the Liberia Water and Suah Corporation on the importation of essential operational items. The order, effective immediately, is designed to reduce the LWC's financial burden and ensure the affordability of water and sewage services for the Liberian public. The latest executive order comes as part of the government's broader strategy to guarantee a sustainable water supply and effective sewage management system. This move followed the expiration of Executive Order 127 and marks a renewed focus on improving public health through enhanced access to clean and better sewage system. Over the last couple of days, social media has been flooded with photographs depicting what is supposed to be a huge consignment of drugs that were arrested by the security forces. It is important to emphasize that the government tries to ensure that Liberia is a drug-free society remain on point. The president, the government continue to treat the issue of drugs and other dangerous substances as a matter of national emergency. And so, against that backdrop, the Joint Security Team in Lofa County, Foya District, led by the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, Lofa County Commander and team. They successfully intercepted a significant, huge consignment of drugs, value over $77,200 United States dollars. At approximately 10:45 p.m. on March 17, 2025, the DEA team received a tip-off regarding a black pickup truck with Liberian license plate A53348 transporting narcotic substances. The vehicle was reportedly traveling from Sierra Leone to Monrovia through Lofa County. Acting swiftly on the intelligence, the Joint Security Team headed by the DEA intercepted the vehicle and escorted it to the Foya Police Station for a thorough inspection. The driver of the vehicle, identified as Faya Lamine, a 43-year-old male from the Mende tribe and a resident of Monrovia, initially claimed to be transporting only clothes and slippers for sale. Upon the conduction of a detailed search of the vehicle, the authorities uncovered 772 plates of high-grade marijuana, estimated street value of $77,200 United States dollars, United States dollars, 14,600,000 Liberian dollars. 8 boxes of tramadol, estimated street value of $842 United States dollars, equivalent to 160,000 Liberian dollars. So these consignments, the consignment of drugs, including the tramadol, have been confiscated by the LDE. Sometimes we have to treat this issue of drugs. Excuse me, please, just leave it. Hello? We have to treat the issue of drugs with urgency because it is destroying our society. The people who fall victim are our children, are those who are supposed to be the next Minister of Information of the country, the next medical doctors, the next public servant. They are the one who future is being destroyed by these dangerous substances. So if you are a businesswoman, if you are a father, if you are a mother, and you are in the vehicle, you have to help the government. And so those who gave the intelligence to the Joint Security Team, they did extremely well. These substances will have led to the destruction of additional young people. The fact that it is being arrested, the culprit will be prosecuted. You follow the case with the fellow who is known as Original Japan. He was arrested by the DEA, forwarded to court, duly prosecuted, and he has been sentenced to 20 years imprisonment. The government is serious about it. To take this country to be a floodgate where if you want to make your illegal money, you bring in your drugs to destroy the children. Please keep that thing outside, family. Keep it outside. You want to destroy the young people of our country, and you bring in these substances, and the end users are the school-going kids. Just the other day, the Ministry of Information was invited to the film festival hosted by the European Union. That film festival was showcasing a movie on drugs and substance abuse. And I made a remark over there. In that remark, I indicated the funding from the statistics, the Liberia Institution for Statistics and Geoinformation Services. They did a survey. And that survey pointed to the fact that 17% of school-going children between the ages, 30% of school-going children between the ages of 12 to 17 are involved with drugs and substance abuse. It has become a social problem. And the government cannot do it alone. So wherever you are in your community, in your little corners, you have to tip out to the security apparatus. They will come in to apprehend those who want to come here to make money at the very detriment of our country. If we sit here and allow drugs and substance to destroy the next leader of the country, we'll become a failed country. And so as a government, we are committed, and the zero tolerance on dangerous substances, the importation, the possession, the sale, zero tolerance. When you are caught, you will be apprehended, prosecuted, you'll be sentenced to jail. The crime is not bearable. So let this be a caveat to who be perpetrators. That the Liberian security forces are on the alert, and they will arrest anybody who try to bring in dangerous substances to destroy the future of our country. The government of Liberia and the World Bank have launched a $30 million governance and institutional reform project. Today, the government of His Excellency President F.Kpakio, in partnership with the World Bank and key stakeholders, is launching the Governance Reform and Accountability and Transformation Project. The project is designed to enhance governance, strengthen institutional capacity, and improve service deliveries across critical government sectors. This landmark initiative represents a significant step towards improving governance and delivering better services to the people of Liberia. The project is funded by the International Development Association, the RDA, of the World Bank, with the primary objective to expand access to digital public service, improve tax revenue collection, and strengthen transparency and accountability within key government institutions. The project will start from June 12, 2025, and will continue to October 30th, 2030. The project will use technology and institutional reform to modernize public administration and improve government efficiency, ultimately benefiting all Liberians. Key government institutions benefiting from the project include the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunication, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Liberia Revenue Authority, National Identification Registry, General Auditing Commission, Public Procurement and Concession Commission, and the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, among others. So, for those of you who drove along the Japanese freeway, the former Somalia Drive through Monrovia or through Congo Town this morning, you see that there's massive cleaning up activities ongoing. That is funded by the initiative that has been funded by the SOE. It's called the SOE Youth Empowerment Project. It's meant to give our city a facelift. Don't forget, sanitation is a pillar within the arrest agenda for inclusive development. And so As a government, we will continue to finance the kind of project to ensure that the agenda, the development plan can be implemented across all sectors of government. So, but the Ministry of Public Works has also moved to remedy the cloggage of drainages in Monrovia. As you know, clogged drainages pose a major challenge to the population of Monrovia, contributing to frequent waves of flooding events in recent years, especially given the huge solid waste management challenge confronting the city. Partly categorized by waste disposal in drainages because of these challenges, the Ministry of Public Works has moved to improve or to start solving the problem. The Ministry of Public Works and the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation signed a contract with a local vendor for the procurement and delivery of several essential materials critical to enhancing drainage and sewer cleaning operations in Greater Monrovia. The procured and supplied material include a consignment of high-performance equipment and devices urgently needed by the Ministry of Public Works and the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation to improve drainage and sewer cleaning operations in Greater Monrovia. The interventions are made possible through the World Bank financed Liberia Urban Resilience projects. Among other things, the items to be procured include dump trucks, backhoe loader, potable pumps, high-pressure trucks, mounted jetters, and a combination of sewer truck with combined value of $1,245,000. The move is part of a bigger urban management capacity building program under the Liberia Urban Resilience Project, targeting Monrovia, Painesville, Buchanan, Banga, and Ganta cities. The Liberia Urban Resilience Project is a 6-year partnership program, partnership between the government of Liberia and the World Bank to improve urban planning, flood and climate resilience in Liberia through transformative, instrumental, and capacity building initiatives. With US $40 million financing from the World Bank, the project aims to enhance flooding resilience, improve access to basic services by constructing, rehabilitating drainages, and financing markets and community upgrading investment, as well as enhancing planning and management capabilities of the 5 beneficiary municipalities of Monrovia, Painesville, Buchanan, Banga, and Ganta. With that being said, we will now invite to the podium the head of the Liberia Land Authority. He will speak to you. He will be followed by Queen Julie Endee. She will talk about the upcoming Expo in Japan, Liberia preparedness as far as participation. After she's concluded, we'll take questions from the press and we'll provide response to those questions. Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon. First, let me say thank you, Mr. Minister, for a great introduction. Before I proceed, I would like to recognize those staff of LLE that I already named to this press briefing. With me, I have Commissioner for Land Use and Management, Commissioner Uriah Zitsini there. Next is the Director for Communication at the Liberian Land Authority, the Tete, and his assistant, who is the Assistant Director for Communication, Emmanuel David, and a team member that have joined the communication, Honorable Faya, sitting back there, and in the base of the press back there is Mr. Morris, who is one of our staff who provides security for the chairman's office. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press. I am humbled to be here today at MICAT press briefing for the first time. Mr. Minister, thank you and your team for the invitation. The Liberia Land Authority is undergoing a transformation to restore public trust, strengthens governance, and ensure equitable access to land rights for all Liberians. As the new chairperson, my immediate focus is modernizing systems, revising regulations, and embedding accountability at every level when it comes to land. In this regard, we have written to the GAC and the IAA, Internal Audit Agency, to conduct an internal audit to assess inherited system and practices, providing a clear baseline for reforms. These audits by GAC and IAA will guide targeted improvements, ensuring transparency in how we manage land resources. We are scheduled to meet with GAC tomorrow for further discussions in this regard. A cornerstone of our strategy is overhauling the disputes resolutions units, streamlining workflows, creating dedicated task forces, and implementing accountability measures to resolve cases fairly and simultaneously. We are establishing a legal division to combat criminal conveyance and a compliance unit to ensure adherence to laws and internal standards. We believe that collaboration is key. In this light, we recently held a 2-day working session with county land administrators, emphasizing ethics, professionalism, and their role in delivering equitable services. These dialogues will continue as we seek to roll out county boards and task forces across all 15 counties to operationalize the Liberia Land Authority Act of 2016 and the Land Rights Act of 2018, translating laws into tangible protection. In partnership with the Liberian Revenue Authority, we are developing land valuation system under the real estate property valuation software and apps projects, and piloting it in 3 counties to clarify property values and generate government resources. This initiative aligns with the President's agenda to create jobs for young people, particularly those trained through the President's digitalization program. On the technical front, we are launching new Endee funds with security features that will curb fraud, with support from our Swedish partners. We have trained staff for de-verifications, which will be decentralized to county offices to eliminate double registrations and ensure lawful land ownership. To safeguard public trust, we have imposed a moratorium on public land transactions in MICAT and Hotel Africa communities, Moserado County. And we ask all individuals holding development grantees in these areas must submit copies to our headquarters by March 31st, 2025 for verification by a dedicated committee that was formed by the administration. Under my leadership and with the support of my commissioners, we are advancing reforms to ensure all transactions are conducted transparently. These steps, from audits to decentralizations, balance urgency with integrity. We are confident these efforts will soon yield visible improvements in accountability, efficiency, and public confidence in Liberia land governance. This is not just a reform, it is a renewal. We are committed to ensuring that the Liberia Land Authority becomes a model of transparency, empowering Liberians to securely hold, trade, and exercise their land rights. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you, and I will take questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all of our people in Radio Land and television. Let me give God the glory and honor for grace and favor to stand here today and to extend my thanks and appreciation to the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism, especially the Acting Minister of MICAT, for allowing me and giving me this opportunity to speak on behalf of Liberia and Liberia participation at Expo 2025, Osaka, Japan. Let me say that this Expo is about the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, and is headed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Liberia, Foreign Affairs, Japan. Expo 2025 Osaka is scheduled to take place April 13 to October 13, 2025. And it's going to take place at Yumeshima, an artificial island in Osaka Bay, Japan. The event will be held under the theme, Designing Future Society for Our Lives. The Expo central focus is shaping sustainable and inclusive future with 3 sub-themes: saving lives, empowering lives, and connecting lives. Each participating country is tasked with aligning its exhibition and programming with one of these sub-themes. Liberia has chosen the sub-theme Saving Lives, and we will present its exhibition under the title Creativity, Innovation, Investment, Gender Equality, and Agriculture. This strategic alignment reflects Liberia's commitment to promoting the President's Arrest agenda through a rebranding lens of purpose, empowerment, image, opportunities, trade, unity, peace. Aiming to achieve financial success, foster international partnerships, promote its rich cultural heritage, tourism, investment, and business potential. Liberia's pavilion will be housed in a shared building called Endee, alongside other 25 other countries, supported by the assistance package. The program provides structural and logistical support to smaller or developing nations in ensuring equal opportunities for representation. Liberia will be participating alongside 186 countries and 25 organizations. That is 164 countries, and the rest are organizations. Pavilion and commercial space. Liberia's pavilion is 53 square meters, consistent of other assistance programs of other countries. Commercial space is 15 square meters. Pavilion code is E60. Office space is 052. Commercial space is C76. The historic pavilion will serve as a hub for cultural display, investment opportunity, business engagement, showcase women participation, and national branding, providing visitors with highlights and insights in Liberia's rich heritage and future-focused initiative. There's a test run that is taking place, and it will start April 4th to April 6th, and the Expo will open April 13th. The Japanese Association of the World Expo to access whether the site is fully prepared for the opening in April. Liberia National Event. Liberia National Event will be in August. We have our National Day Parade where His Excellency Joseph Boakai, Senior President of the Republic of Liberia, will speak. There will be a business forum with 400 to 500 investors and business people that the President will speak to. There will be cultural performance, not just dance ensemble, but we will be teaching and telling the story of great Liberia. Be a business and investment forum all through the month of August. We are specifically showcasing the arrest agenda, and one of the things we are looking at from democracy and the rule of law is gender equality. And we have been opportune to be elected to the Electoral College for the first time. In this Expo, Liberia was elected through the Electoral College as one of the 26 countries to implement the steering committee of the World Expo. Liberia, through the lens of the word, we are moving forward. Again, Liberia has been invited to speak on Africa Day for Pan-Africanism, and then Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, former President of Liberia, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sarah Beslo-Yanti, has been invited to do so. We are also showcasing great women in Liberia. Of course, the first democratically elected female president on the continent of Africa. Now she's going to Namibia. we are going to showcase Madam Katumu Yata Boakai, the First Lady of the Republic of Liberia, the Second Lady of the Republic of Liberia, Madam Joe Howard Taylor, former Vice President of Liberia, Madam Clara Marie Duncan Weah, former First Lady of Liberia, Madam Lima Bowie, Nobel Peace Laureate, the Chief Justice of Liberia, Comfort Duncan Sawyer, former First Lady. You have Mrs. Dakoka Kemea, Reverend Mother Limu, Senator Yombli Kanka Lawrence, Mrs. Bemi Horace Colley, Minister of Gender, Dr. Louis Koto, Minister of Health, Madeleine Ellen Tagosa, Minister of Commerce and Industry, Mama Kabilite, Minister of State with her portfolio, a rural woman, representative of the Muslim women and Christian women, women with disability, Ambassador Mianta Famule, Beneka S.L. President, Federation of Liberian Youth, female entrepreneur and female journalists, including Asatu Baakane, Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Information, Culture Affairs and Tourism. These Deputy Ministers will be showcased. They are being showcased in Japan. Just to mention a few, they have other names, but this is a press conference. So I would like to slow down on the names. This diverse delegation underscores Liberia's commitment to showcasing its progress and engaging with global partners at Expo 2025 Osaka. Liberia is also seconded to the Women's Pavilion in Japan. And I'm telling you, Liberia is making history. We've worked very closely with the Embassy of Japan, given the limited size of Liberia's commercial space. The country has secured a partnership with PANAF, Pan-African Network for African Food and Culture, the largest African restaurant in Expo 2025 Osaka, to showcase our cuisine. We are collaborating with a city in Japan called Yahoo City, and we are going to do a lot of networking, engagement, storytelling, cultural display, training, business opportunities, and investment for our people. We have signed an agreement with another city, and this city is called Hakashiko Osaka City. Liberia will be there. As we will have an investment forum of 400 to 500 investors and attendees that have registered to attend. The engagement is expected to open avenues for trade, investment, and technological cooperation. Liberia has sent the first container to Japan, which will be the arts and crafts. Our artifacts will be set in Japan. Businesses can now register at the one-stop center on the capital bypass, where you can register to be a part of this historic movement. If you want to go to Japan as an individual, you go on the internet, go to the website, you sign up why you want to go to Japan, when you want to go to Japan. If you need assistance from the committee, you have it there. Yes, I need assistance. We'll show you the package. To conclude, Liberia's participation at Expo 2025 Osaka is a historic milestone. Let me extend my greatest thanks and appreciation to Her Excellency Joseph Yuma Boakai, Senior President of the Republic of Liberia, for giving me the opportunity to serve my country. This expo would have never been successful without the assistance package in kind, I repeat, in kind, from the Japanese government, the Association of Expo, and the contribution for key partners such as the Monrovia City Corporation, $5,000, Local, $5,000, a Liberian businessman, Mr. Dominic Nimle, $1,000 US. Additionally, all activities related to the Expo has been pre-financed from 2022 to present, showcasing Liberia's long-term commitment and strategic planning for this international engagement. The success of Liberia's involvement in Expo 2025 would not have been possible without the dedicated leadership of Her Excellency Sarah Besno Yanti, Liberia's Foreign Minister. Her dynamic leadership was instrumental in bringing us to this stage. I also want to extend my thanks to the Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, Jeremy Matthew PM, the Minister of Information, for his unwavering trust in me to carry out the responsibilities associated with this endeavor. The Chairman of the National Investment Commission deserves special recognition for his steadfast commitment to ensuring the success of Liberia's participation. I would also like to express my deep appreciation to former Minister of Foreign Affairs, D. Maxwell Sakimaya Sr., whose earlier belief in my ability to deliver on the project more than any previous Commissioner General greatly contributed to our progress. Even though there was a Commissioner General previously who is an Italian. So Liberia took over from an Italian, and I'm grateful to God. Finally, I'm immensely grateful to the Liberian Embassy in Japan for their continued support and effort to facilitating Liberia's presence at Expo 2025 Osaka. The collective effort highlights the power of collaboration, vision, and dedication. Let me close by thanking the entire Liberia Expo team for their unwavering commitment and support. Their hard work and passion have played a crucial role in bringing us closer to making Liberia's participation at the Expo and deciding efforts. Let me just name a few of the ministries that are participating in this Expo. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Monrovia City Corporation, National Port Authority, National Investment Commission, Youth and Sports. On the private sector, we have the Liberian Business Association, Liberia Chamber of Commerce, and then on the women's side, we have the Liberian Women NGO Secretariat. In terms of all cultural participation, the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism is responsible. In this hall today, we have more stakeholders from the artistic industry here. We have from the Designer Chef Association, we have the Musicians Union, and many more. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you and God bless you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the Fourth Estate. Standing before you is the Deputy Minister of Information, Culture, Affairs, and Tourism. I would like to say hats off to our former cultural ambassador and an iconic lady within the Liberian sector. Hats off to her for empowering and taking the lead in this Osaka fair. But let me just make this clear. The Ministry of Information, Culture Affairs and Tourism is going to be responsible for the creative industry, all of the registration and everything that has to do with cultural and tourism aspect will have to come to the Ministry of Information. And like she rightly said, the one-stop center on the bypass, you can go there also to register. And you can also, the Ministry of Information is going to be having a desk, an Osaka, Japan desk. There will be 2 employees here. I already discussed this with our Honorable that will be responsible to coordinate activities relating to this event. You will be seeing much of us through her and through me and through deputies here, assistants. We are all working together, and I just want to say thank you for the attention, and please stay tuned.
Thank you. Thank you. The queue, please come in the queue. We take one question for our guests. Please come in the queue. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Regan S. Levy, and I report for the Liberian News Agency under the Ministry of Information, Culture, and Tourism. So my question goes directly to the chairman for the Liberian Land Authorities. So I want to say thank you for your deliberation, and also thanks to the communication person for the Land Authority, was especially Emmanuel Davis, who has always been creating awareness for the people to know what's happening. But my attention has been drawn to you calling on the audit, you calling on the GSC and the IAA to audit the past administration, how monies were spent. But sir, I did not hear you talking about what specifically you're going to bring to the table that will solve some of the many challenges that Liberians have been facing when it comes to the sale of land across the country. Most of the time you see Liberians or the poor ones, those that are selling those land, they go into some of the issues, and the poor ones will get affected and they will not get those land. What are you bringing to the table to solve some of these problems, sir? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ezekiel Timo. I report for Encounter Radio and TV. My question is to the land commissioner. Sure. To the land commission chairman. So, Honorable Chairman, in Liberia, the issue of land cases in court take a lot of time. So, what are some of those measures just you will put in place to help at least limit the level of time that the land cases still in the court? Thank you.
So my name is Mokulu, and my question firstly goes to the Land Authority. I admire your confidence, telling the Liberian people what you want to do, and this thing are not often. When people take power, they would like to tell the people what they will do. But people are often careful, or maybe people want to know what you have done before, and so that they will believe what you're saying. So my question is, how can Liberian people believe that what you have said will be implemented? That goes to you. And my last question goes to Ambassador Endee. You were actually clear on something, but the Liberian people want to know how many delegates actually is expected to be in Japan. And often, when the delegates go, most of them try to seek better life and they try to escape and stay to such country. Will it be wrong, or it will not be wrong? What mechanism are you bringing to that to solve such problem? Thank you.
So my name is Joseph Salif, and I report for ABC Radio. My first question goes to Julie Endee. The creative sector and the hospitality sector suffer major challenges, lack of support. And I want to know, in terms of government full involvement financially, not talking about donations from other ministries, in terms of government full involvement, how many, the amount that the government have allocated towards this initiative? And my last question goes to Deputy Minister Daniel Sando. Mr. Minister, the issue of drugs, the President declared drugs as a national health emergency, and we're yet to see an urgent step towards the fight against drugs. You care to give us update on the committee that was set up, the sectoral committee that was set up on fighting to solve these drugs in our country? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Stephen Ramos, and I work for Lina. Madam Julie Endee, basically, we would like to know from you as to how this Expo 2025 is going to affect Liberia industrial sector in order to market our industry, the natural resources that we have. How are you going to sell Liberia out there and making sure that we can get investors coming to Liberia right after the location?
Thank you. My name is Prince Joey, and I report for Smart Radio. My question is to Minister Sandra. In recent time, and on many occasions, Sierra Leone has been in the headline when it comes to illicit drugs entering Liberia. I want to know, has there been any communication of notification to the Sierra Leone government? If no,
Repeat your question.
my question is, in recent times, Sierra Leone has been in the headline when it comes to drugs entering Liberia. Has there been any communication on that, of notification to the Sierra Leone government? If no, what's the government of Liberia position? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Desmond Well, and I report for Democracy Watch. My concerns are three, and to our three guests: the Deputy Minister, that of Ambassador Julie Endee, that of the Commissioner of the Land Authority, the Chairperson. Sorry. Let me begin with the Chairperson of the Land Authority. Honorable Chairperson, I guess this should be your first national media appearance. You know, as a new person, speaking to the country on some of the things that you intend to do. The entity you inherited, and I do believe, with what you expressed with much emphasis about audit, there have been decisions that influence your belief that there should be audit at that entity. If yes, then what, or do you care to tell us what was that turnover note that you inherited from your predecessors, you know, that you think things are not proper? And to Ambassador Judy Endee, Expo Liberia is a good thing. I was also reading on some of the advantages that it has for our country as a nation. But is you as a former cultural ambassador, this talks about showcasing the Liberian culture to Japan, and we have the cultural ambassador, that's Honorable F.Kpakio. You listed land ministers of government are supposed to be part of this program, and you were not too vigilant to name or to probably pointing to the cultural ambassador of our country based on some of the coordinations. So I'm so concerned as to whether this program is also in coordinated function with the cultural ambassador of our country, and how fast is the cooperation. Lastly, to Deputy Minister of Information. Honorable Minister, the President of this country has declared drugs as a national emergency. And as such, national emergency means the government is prepared to prevent, not only prepared to announce that drugs has entered, but the government should be prepared to prevent drugs from not entering. So the question is, how do the government prevent drugs from entering the country? How do the government prevent drugs from entering into the country instead of the government just announcing that drugs have entered?
Good afternoon, my name is Oya Philip. I work for the New Liberian newspaper.
Have it quiet, please.
One question for my Ambassador Julie Endee. Ambassador, yes, you are a former cultural ambassador. And actually, we always see you stay control some of the programs you control with the cultural ambassador. How did you get over to become ambassador to this Expo 2025 in Japan? The next question is for the chairperson of the LLA. Lord Chairman, thank you for your deliberations. Before you enter the LLA, we did a little investigation there almost before you could come. That the land in Virginia, the only African land, was given out was given out to someone. And it was that done properly. We are still investigating that issue. Yeah, you're talking about some investigation, auditing, and this. I want to know who are those specific persons you know that are in possession of government land, and can you please name them for us?
My name is Joseph Sani, and I'm reporting for MICAT TV. Mr. Sano, you talked about Liberia preparedness for debate, the UN Security Council, Security Council. My question to you here is, how strong are we as a nation? We still have an impasse at the legislature. We continue to see police and security apparatus fight between them and along with the motorcyclists. So as a country, how prepared are we? And to the Queen, you mentioned all the organizations and entities involved into your Expo fair. We have few journalists in this room who've been part and parcel of so many fairs locally, been taking the microphones to their people. You didn't mention the involvement of journalists into your fair.
So thank you. My name is Elijah Pine. I'm reporting from Sporting Television. A single question is directed to Endee. You made mention of wanting to be part of the Expo 2025. We come to your office also be part of the process. So are there requirements in being part of the process, coming to the office? Because if one wants you to go there, we should go with them.
I'm Samuel Johnson, and I'm good for OFM TV. Yes, Mr. Minister, you talk about jobs and we're concerned about the rehabilitation of drugs victims. The last time we saw this government intervention into rehabilitation was when we saw Senator Taylor and folks from the Ministry of Youth went at the Mental Rehabilitation Center to see how best they can renovate that place for rehabilitation of those affected with drugs. But since then, we haven't seen any effort being made by the government to renovate that facility. So I wanted to know what our plans the government has in the pipeline for the rehabilitation of those that have been fall victim to drugs. Thank you.
Thank you once again. Let me just do this quickly. The questions about what am I going to bring on the table, this lining of what I have said here. This week, maybe 3.5 weeks, taking over as chairman of the Liberian Authority. However, that does not make me a stranger to the Land Authority because I've been working with the Land Authority for the past 5.5 years. I know what I'm talking about. I heard a lot of stuff. I've seen a lot. I have walked in the corridors of the Land Authority. But in short, if I'm to bring anything on the table, which I am determined to do that, is to bring transparency and accountability. It is key. And I think my record speaks to that. I served at the Ministry of Public Works as a zoning director for 4.5 years. My record speaks to that. Accountability, transparency, professionalism, efficiency is the key to my administration. Then the next one was most of our land cases stay a long time in courts. I'm not going to talk much about that because we are formulating a committee of legal-minded people at the Liberian Authority. They are going to be working in line with the courts to see what judicial power can be given to us for us to make good decisions quickly. It is true that many cases appear in courts and they last there for 3 years, 4 years, sometimes even 10 years. Nothing has been done because of the political and legal maneuvering. And we will work towards it to see how we can curtail that. The other question talks about the confidence. I spoke in confidence, and it relates to the same issue of what I'm now going to bring on the table. It's just my record, and I'm very thankful to the President of the Republic of Liberia seeing the need and finding this in me to appoint me as chairman of the Liberia Land Authority. I think he definitely knows my character, and many of my colleagues in the public sector know who Mr. F.Kpakio is. I believe in discipline, I believe in transparency, I believe in professionalism, and I'm going to walk on the chalk line of those things that I mentioned. Then talking about the audits, I'm not going to talk much about the audits because, like I said, I have been with the Liberia Land Authority for quite a while. I know what it is. It is not anything that I'm going to say, I'm going to accuse my predecessor who was there before as chairman. But many of you know that you have seen in the newspapers issues about the Hotel Africa, issues about the Omega, and issues about other communities, okay? And some of these transactions have taken place. So, being coming in as a new chairman, it's better for me to know what is there, what has happened. Then I will definitely find my way in which direction to go to improve or change things. So the audit committee definitely working on that. We have written the GSC, we have written the IAA, and definitely going to come in. As I said, tomorrow I'm having a meeting with the GSC. It's scheduled tomorrow, and we are hoping to hear from the IAA, at least to tell us, look at the documents, what has transpired at the Liberia Land Authority. Land matters are very sensitive issues. So for me to come in based on my personality and my character, it's always good to know what I'm going to be sitting on. It's the same situation about the Hotel Africa, who are those that are in possession. I'm not going to reveal the names of those who are in possession. We have sent an announcement out to make sure that every one of you that obtain development grantee under the leverage of what should I say, government land, public land, whatsoever it is. We want to make sure that those processes were done accurately and correctly within the frame of the law. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will answer your question as you send them over to me. The first one is, how many delegates will leave Liberia? As many as we can afford. If you are willing as an individual to go to Japan, you can fill up the form, tell us why you're going, where you want to go, what your economic stability is, how can you fund yourself to go to Japan and be a part of the Expo from April to October. You are will to do that. So it is not limited. But government delegation is the responsibility of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of State, and the Ministry of Information. They are responsible for government participation in terms of who they are taking. But let me quickly remind you that in the last Expo 2020 Dubai, which I was the lead champion, I was the content champion for Liberia. We took 62 member team from Liberia, and we have some of them in this hall here. We took culture too from the very Malawala Balawala. We took culture too from Crusaders for Peace, the national culture too. The musicians you see here, they also went to Dubai, but we did a fundraiser to take them. So the ministry now has a responsibility to fundraise to take as many as they want to take. Because when I was content champion, I used my intellectual property rights in singing and dancing to raise money to go to Japan, to Dubai. Go to the next question. Those people that will travel to Japan and want to have a better life and stay, what are the mechanisms put in place? Every country has services of immigration. They have everything put in place. And I don't think we'll be giving visa to a minor or a teenager that will be responsible for. Those that will be getting visa are adults. And that's why on your biometric passport, you have your fingerprint. So the Japanese government and Liberian government have a mechanism to detect whether you are going to overstay or you don't stay. But I know that Liberians are responsible people. They will go to Japan, enjoy the Expo, return to Liberia for development, for networking, investment purposes, and then small, medium enterprises, you grow your brand. The next one, in the industry, we know that we are all struggling in the industry. So how will the sector be supported? Of course, we know that we are going through global crisis where all over the world, everyone talking about resources. So we are going to minimize our expectation, and we are going to work with the meager resources that we have to make sure those dedicated people are going to go to Japan. How much money government is putting into it? Like I said, if you listen to the beginning of my statement, I said the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is responsible, is the lead for this expo in Japan because it is geared towards the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And Liberia is showcasing the president's agenda, which is address agriculture, roads, rule of law, education, sanitation, tourism. We added trade and gender equality. So the government will make sure that all of the resources needed will be given so that Liberia can shine. Next, you want to know why the cultural ambassador is not mentioned here. The Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, by virtue since 30 years ago, has a statutory mandate for culture. It is a responsibility of the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism to determine who goes to Japan and participate. Am I working with the minister? Am I working with the ambassador of arts and culture? Sure. The ambassador and I are working together in terms of arts, because you know I'm an artist. The ambassador is the dramatist. I'm a dancer and singer. So we are in that society, so we are working together. How does why are you always doing program that's supposed that others that is supposed to be done? Okay, well, I come from the old school, and the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Joseph Yuma Boakai Sr., have said to me, I should never burn my house for mosquitoes. And with the wisdom he had, he said, I have his fullest support and the support of his government, and a patriot's role is not limited to assignment. And so as a patriotic citizen, when I'm called upon to do anything, I will deliver. Next, I move on to how do you get the requirements. That's why we have the website. You can go on the website, you can go to the one-stop shop, you can fill up the form, and then if you're out of Liberia, you can go to the embassy of Liberian embassy in Japan. If you want to be a part, you register online. What you want to do, we can facilitate your visa. We facilitate your stay in Ghana. You stay in Ghana, so we have a lower price of a hotel where you can stay in Ghana. We have a lower fees where you can pay for visa. And then we have our airlines for this expo is the Ethiopian Airlines. Every ticket you get, depending on which season you leave, you will have 20% discount as a Liberian under the expo team. If you want us to pick you up from the airport, there is a package you can pick you up. If you want us to give you accommodation in Japan, there's also a package. This expo is not fly by night. This is well arranged, settled, and we are moving and moving forward. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the website is right there. You can find it.
Hey, I want to hands up on the queen. Somebody asks, how is the government preventing drugs from coming to the country and not just arresting them? You see, for people who study crime, criminal justice, they were liking you see the light bulb is on, right? It is on because current is in the line. The current will not in the line, the bulb will not be on. What I'm saying is that the government is arresting the drugs in huge quantities. They are moving to ghettos. They are succeeding in prosecution as part of the strategy that we have as a government. So you'll not be effectively arresting this consignment of drugs coming to the country if you didn't have an effective strategy to prevent. So it's all part of it. Least we forget, the drug cartel is like a syndicate. Like a syndicate. What you need to do is to frequently be one step ahead of them. If the joint security was not in charge of the situation, they would not be gathering the necessary intelligence that led to the arrest of original Japan, and today he's been sentenced to jail for 20 years. If the joint security was not on top of that game, the arrest of this huge consignment that was coming from Sierra Leone to Liberia wouldn't have been arrested in 4 years. Okay? So it's part of the strategy: prevent, arrest, and prosecute. It's a three-pronged approach the government's adopted, and the security apparatus are on top of the game. They're not going to tell you how they're going to gather intelligence that lead to the arrest and subsequent prosecution of the individual. What we know as a country, as a government, is that we have a duty to protect the territorial confines of the country. And with the level of improvement that has been made, the leadership that has been provided at these various levels, we can say that we work to significantly mitigate the flow of all of these illegal substances in our country. And that brings me to the second question you said, whether the government has communicated with the authority in Sierra Leone, because most of the drugs coming to the country are from Sierra Leone. Couple of months ago, the president was in Sierra Leone. It's all part of the plan to enhance regional cooperation. When you hear people who do international affairs about regional cooperation and security, on trade, right? Because Sierra Leone is our neighbor, they are our neighbors. We have to work with them to ensure that the borders are secure. And through information sharing, some of the arrests will be made. But when I come to tell you, say, oh, we wrote the government of Sierra Leone to say all the goods are coming in Liberia, coming through Sierra Leone, and so we're going to plow with them low. We engage them as government And through these negotiations to enhance regional cooperation, the two countries are working together. We can ensure that the borders are secure for our citizens to move around freely. Okay, so the government declared drugs as a matter of national emergency. What is the status of the committee that was set up by the president? The committee is working. The committee that was constituted is working, and from the way we have handled drug cases, from the airport to the porous border points around the country, the way the government is handling the issue of drug tells you that the government has a zero tolerance stance on it. Okay? Whether you're from the security sector, whether you are a private citizen, one thing that has to be clear is that the government does not condone the importation, sales of illegal substances in the country. And some of the arrests that have been made, some of these arrests that have been made have led to prosecution and sentencing. Unlike in time past where people be arrested and next day you see them on the street. The infamous case about the 100 million worth of drugs discovered in the country, brought into the country through an organized criminal syndicate. What happened to that? Individuals were arrested, they were taken to court, they were set free. That was a very terrible precedent for our country. A country whose youthful population is being destroyed by drugs and substances, and somebody brought in the country 100 million worth of drugs. It is a problem of gigantic proportion. Because the way the drug cartel will work is that for them to channel a consignment worth $100 million into a particular corridor, that suggests that they have succeeded in moving in 25,000, they have succeeded in moving 50,000, and so the vulnerability in that area has increased, and they have a syndicate through which they can channel this thing. Unfortunately for them, the international partners helped us. That red line was given, they were arrested. What happened to them? Nobody can account for them today. So we have turned a new page to say that the fight against drugs in the country should not just be about our authorities or the president declaring it as a matter of national emergency, but what is the government doing? The government is effectively mending the border points. The government is cracking down on ghettos, and the government is arresting, seizing consignment of drugs, destroying it in public glare, and the government is also prosecuting to make sure that people are sentenced. That's how we can set sufficient deterrence to ensure that the population, the young people, cannot be destroyed by these menaces. That brings me to the question you talk about, what is the government doing about rehabilitation? The Ministry of Youth and Sport just completed the rehabilitation of the first batch of young people who were affected by drugs or dangerous substances. The problem we have here is relapse. Resources are expended, take the man out of the ghetto, out of the street, take him to the rehabilitation center, he's rehabilitated. He goes through the process, he comes back into the community, he's still exposed to the danger. So it's a problem. Except instances where individuals have willfully committed to say, I'm no more into drugs and substances. Then you can realize the effort that has been made. But yes, in terms of rehabilitation, the Ministry of Youth and Sport, they handled that. In fact, what the president said from the last cabinet meeting is that he's concerned about the sustainability plan for these young people. And by the way, next we will have the Ministry of Youth and Sports here that will be laying out a project that is coming up to be targeted at the motorcyclists. They have a plan for them to ensure that most of the people who ride motorcycles in the street don't have a career. So what the government is now doing is to work with the merged Federation of Tricycle and Motorcycle Unions to ensure that the government will underwrite the cost. Just go to the vacation school and get a career. You can become a plumber, electrician, carpenter, but just to help you that when you are out there riding your motorcycle, making a daily break, you can have a career. In the event where you have an opportunity for employment, you can be scratching your head. So the government will announce that next week through the Ministry of Youth and Sports. The last question, how strong is the Liberian government for the UN Security Council seat? Because according to you, the police and the motorcycle making laws, the laws on Capitol Hill, and so the government is not prepared. Our conclusion is wrong. What is unfolding on Capitol Hill is a normal political maneuvering that happening in a democracy. Even in the great United States, after which our democracy is modeled, there was a battle to remove the speaker was removed. To have the new speaker, they took vote how many times? Over 15 times, they couldn't get a vote to produce a new speaker. Every democracy. Parliamentary democracy is always characterized by political struggles. You say the first time this is happening in Liberia? No. This is not the first time. And by the way, some of us in the media decide to say that we'll call this person majority bloc speaker, in battle speaker. The legislature is moving ahead with their business. They have a speaker, they have a leadership that is doing business. It is left with some of our friends in the media who say that we will forget about all of the important things that happen in the country. They will not report on who is in battle speaker, who is the legitimate speaker of the legislature. If the president should address the legislature tomorrow, they will convene a session. The president will go there to address him. If the government should submit an instrument for legislative enactment, they will submit it to the lower house. They will add upon it. They will send it to the Senate. So we have a functional legislature. And there's no problem over there. Capitol Hill is okay. The political struggle will always happen. And don't be surprised. They will come up tomorrow in their majority and say they don't want the current speaker. What will you say? That because somebody does not want the current speaker, so the country is not prepared for national leadership? The way the country is, the leadership of the country is constructed, you have a president who is the head of government, head of state, and commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Liberia. The president has shown leadership in spite of everything that's happened on Capitol Hill. It's not the first time, it's not going to be the last time. So let us focus on more important issues and just leave the politics on Capitol Hill, because here we have said we speak for all three branches of government. And it is not part of our duty to say that we will be talking down on one branch and be promoting another branch. Everything that happens on Capitol Hill affects the government of Liberia. It affects the people of Liberia. So we can discuss it from one side. The bid for the non-permanent seat at the UN Security Council will benefit Liberia as a whole. If, for example, Liberia is elected and we are discussing a peace deal in Ukraine, the countries that will come to Liberia to negotiate the terms of that peace deal. Liberia, by virtue of a position in the UN Security Council, will be sought after. If anything good comes out of that negotiation, it doesn't benefit President Bouakai alone. It doesn't benefit members of the legislature alone. It benefits the entire country. Here we are talking about bringing in new investment to create jobs for our people. How do we do that? We need to increase our standing on the global stage. We need to gain that recognition so that people can know who Liberia is. And that can be done nowhere else other than being on the Security Council of the United Nations. For 2 years, if you are there, a lot of good things will happen for your country. And we are very hopeful that Liberia will get elected. We are going on a course. The campaign we're talking about is just meant to galvanize the support of our friends in the international cycle to get the required numbers of votes. But as a matter of fact, we are going on a course. With that being said, I would like to join this edition of the press briefing and say thanks to all of you, the press, social media feeds, radio stations that relay this edition.